Hey everybody, welcome to another video. My name's Steve, and if you're new to this channel, these videos are all about digging deeper on the cost of ownership. Currently, that is my Porsche 992 Carrera II, and in today's video, I'm going to take the car for a spin and also try and get you to hear the car without the sports exhaust. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to take the car for a spin. We're going to go on a little bit of a commuter drive, do a little bit of low speed, and then I'm going to go on one of the roads I know quite well, and I'm going to pop it in sport and see if we can get a little bit of engine noise in there so that people can see what this car sounds like without the sports exhaust on, and hopefully we'll pick up as much sound as we possibly can. So let's head off. Okay then, so just to start off, I'm just going to do some casual driving at normal speed. So for somebody like me who's bought the car to use every day, it's my only car. I use it to commute backwards and forwards to work. It is the only car I use for anything. If I ever have to do anything else, so I need to carry anything large or I need to give anybody a lift that's more than one person, I usually have to borrow a different car, probably my parents. But on a day-to-day basis, this car usually does everything that I want it to do, which is basically get me backwards and forwards to work, get me there safely, allow me to cruise around in comfort, and kick it into sports mode when I really want to give it a good blast. Speed bump. There we go, there's an example of a speed bump driving around in these cars. It can be quite violent. I only have the standard suspension on this car, don't have any lowered PASM on this. Can really mean that you've got to drop down to a slow speed and do that 5 or 10 mile an hour that it states on the speed bumps to make sure that you don't actually do any damage. But somebody also asked me if I had any issues driving around multi-story car parks, going around ramps. So far, no. I also had a 718 Cayman that basically, I think, covered the same ground clearance and wasn't far away in the wheelbase from this, which is why when I was looking for cars, I actually opted for this after being in the Cayman, because I looked at some of the other sports cars available and I didn't quite have the same wheelbase or clearance, and I was worried about issues in my car park. I have an issue where the car park ramp goes out and flattens off, and I was worried about it bottoming it out and possibly scraping the bottom of the car. Don't have this issue with this, fortunately. So one of the complaints that's usually made about Porsches and quite a lot of these cars in general, and you might not be able to hear it until we get going a bit more, is the road noise. Now, for whatever reason, the road noise in here is quite bad. I know I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube from other people that have driven these cars and even the previous models, and have said that road noise has always been an issue, but they think that it might be a bit worse in this one. I can't really compare to any other ones. I know that it wasn't great in my 718. I was wondering if it had anything to do with giving you the ability to hear the engine better or something, because of the new emissions that have taken place that have stifled the noise on this car, which is part of the reason why everybody said get the sports exhaust, which I didn't add. Speaking on the sports exhaust though, I did actually have a demonstration model where it was included. I did try it before I got this. That was a 4S. You'll know that if you've been watching the other videos, and I didn't really think it made so much of a difference that I wanted to pay the extra 2,000 odd pounds that it was including at the time. Now, there is the ability, if you go on the Porsche website and you look at the extras that you can buy afterwards, aftermarket, new wheels, snow tyres, things like that, you can actually purchase the sports exhaust and have it fitted by the dealer in their workshops. The price of the sports exhaust, you were going to the speed bump, not too bad that one. The price of the sports exhaust did come across being the same on the website at the time that I looked. Hopefully I might be able to pop it up on the screen there if I have found it. I don't know if it's worth adding on afterwards if you didn't get it, but you know, if you really want to get it when you buy the car. If you don't, you'll get to see what this car sounds like without it on. Hopefully we can get that mic picking up the sound. I'll drop the windows, we'll put the sports mode on, and I'll get it up some revs and we'll go around a little bit of a twisty back country road and see what it sounds like. So hopefully at the minute you can hear a little bit of the engine noise. I'm just casually driving, we're doing sort of 20 and 3rd here. Probably hearing more road noise than you are engine noise. I'm just coming to a 60 zone here, UK roads. If I drop it down to 3,000 RPM there, this is in normal mode. Don't know if it's coming across any better if I put my foot down a little bit there and get up to speed. It is fairly quiet in normal mode. You do get a little bit of engine noise. tell I'm going around a few bends here. Very positive steering in these cars. I came across that on my 718. Also, I'm enjoying it as much in this 992, although I do feel the car drives differently. I'm not a racer, I'm not a race car driver, but you know, I can tell the difference between this and other cars, and it is definitely, until you've driven a Porsche of any description, at whatever age, they're designed to be a car you can take to the track, drive on the track, and drive home again, all in the same car. It's meant to be that robust, and it's meant to be designed to perform that way so that you can still cruise on it on the normal roads. So we drop the cogs again, down into 4th at 40. There's 60 there. So you do get some engine noise out of it. It does give you a little bit of a sound. I tend to find, and I don't know if it's coming across on the mic here at the minute, you get a bit more of a mechanical whine from this car, especially in normal mode, more than I can hear the engine note. And obviously you've got those emissions dampening exhausts in there after the turbos, so you're not going to get that same sound that you used to get from higher performance cars in the past, unless you're going to aftermarket the exhaust. I don't know if it sounds that much better with a sports exhaust on. Personally, once I get this into sport mode and I can open up a little bit on the road, you will probably see a difference there as well. Don't know if you can tell it's coming across the microphone here. I'm on a bit of rough road. The engine isn't that loud, but I can hear the tyres on this surface. I think you do pick up a lot of road noise through this car, and I think it just depends what surface you're on. Different roads, different layers of tarmac, how fresh it is, you get a different, I'm just about to hit some different tarmac here. I would say it's taken a little bit of the rough noise away from that there. You can either live with it or you can't. I mean, obviously once you've got the radio on in this car, you do kind of blot out a lot of that road noise, and it is really not that noticeable once you have music playing. And the stereo system in here, I just have the standard stereo system. I don't have the Bose or the Burmeister. It's alright, it's fine, it does everything I wanted to do. It's probably better than most stereo systems I've ever had in cars. Other than that, I think this car's very comfortable. I've had no issue with the ride quality. Obviously if the road's bumpy or potholed, or it's, you know, covered in speed bumps, I am having a bumpy ride. But on a nice smooth road here, it doesn't matter where I'm going, how I'm driving, what speed I'm doing, even at these commuter speeds I'm doing at the moment, it is very comfortable. I'm very relaxed in the seating position that I'm in. The steering is very positive, and the visibility in here is brilliant. So I can't fault any of them things as a normal driving car or a normal day-to-day run. So a little bit of driving in just sports mode at normal speeds. I don't do a lot of driving in sports mode when I'm commuting, because it holds it in gear longer than auto does. The auto settings on this car in standard PDK mode, it is obsessed with getting you back down to that 1000 RPM mark, and it really wants to try and keep engine efficiency on this car, so it's always looking for getting it to 1000 for the MPG. So we're in sports mode now. I'm doing 30 miles an hour too. It's not changed up till there, and that's at 23. Normally that would have banged up to about 4th by now. We're into 30 and we're still in 3rd. What I do find is, if you're struggling with speed limits, sometimes being in normal PDK mode, I do tend to find that if you're not watching the speedo, you can start to wander away in the higher gears above the speed limits. Because this is holding at higher revs at about 2000 now at just 29 miles an hour, I'm in a 30 zone. I'm in 3rd, and it's not trying to run away with itself. I'm not having to feather the accelerator, and it's sitting there quite nicely, and I'm not really having to check the speed to know how fast that I'm going. So because I'm in sports mode and I am in higher revs, I do find it generally easier to stick to the speed limits doing that. And also, if you're then trying to pull away, you get a bit of a punch while you're trying to press the accelerator. Last thing I probably want to go through is driving around. Do I use the manual mode? Well, usually if I put it back into normal, if I am driving around just commuter speeds, yes, I do put it into manual mode. I went through this a little bit on the driving without the sports chrono video. If I'm coming to junctions, I'm coming up to roundabouts and things, and I'm coming to a dead stop, normal mode tends to want to drag you down to just say 2 miles an hour, sort of there. If I'm just pulling out of the junction, I've got time and I'm in 2nd, I don't lose any revs. But if I do try to pull away, it usually drops down to 2nd, I go to 0, I will drop it down into 1st using the paddles. So really, sometimes I do find I am getting into them speeds where I would use the paddles rather than being in sports mode, because like I am now, I'm doing revs there now, doing 36 and 7th. I really wanted to be a bit high in that. 6 brings me just up, 5 brings me to about 1500. So I'm coming up to another roundabout now. I'm going to drop it down myself into 3rd there, and that gives me plenty of revs to come out of this roundabout at speed, get around there, and pick speed straight up on the other side. So I do tend to use the manual, and I will drop into pressing the paddles, but it tends to just be if I'm reaching points on the road where I know it's kicked up too high and I just want to quickly flop it back down to get a bit more power out of the engine and get away at a bit of speed, and then it sits back down again itself after a couple of seconds. So I've put the windows down there a little bit, coming into another 60 zone. This is the car in normal without sports mode on for the accelerating for the engine. Probably picking up more wind buffeting there than you are anything else. I can't hear the engine noise very much with the wind buffeting either. So I'll give it another drop in cogs. 3rd, 42 miles an hour. Fairly quiet. Once we put it into sport mode, I think you'll probably notice a little bit more noise. So there we go, we're in sports mode now. It does pick up, the engine noise does pick up there. Shut the windows again and see what the difference is like, see if you can pick up that noise. So you'll have lost that wind buffeting there. I'm in 3rd. Doing there's 2nd, 3rd, 4th, dropping it down. You do get a little bit of a rev match in there, and sometimes you can get a little bit of a pop and bang depending on where you're going. There a little bit, sorry. Thought I would just drive for a couple of seconds with no talking over the top, and then you'd be able to hear the engine as I crank through that in sport there. So as you're jumping up the gears and you're at the higher revs, you do get a decent engine noise out of it. What I'll do in normal mode as well, I will come down here, and I'm just coming off a roundabout. I'm going to join onto a dual carriageway. I'll put it into manual, into 2nd there. If I give it a bit of acceleration, you can be able to see what the engine sounds like. Joined the motorway, up to 70, backed off. It's going to drop back into manual mode there. It has back down to 2000 revs from the 3 that I was at, and that's what it sounds like without the sports exhaust on. So that was a little drive in the car. That was a little bit of an experience of what the car sounds like without the sports exhaust. If you're enjoying the videos and you want to keep seeing more and features and talking about the costs, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much. Bye.